Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so all right. So let's start with high school wrestling. Regionals was this weekend. I didn't end up going anywhere. I was still recovering from a little sickness, but I watched online. There were a lot of crazy things. Marty, you went to the Huntley
Yep.
Regional to watch Hananiga win the regional.
Mhm.
First time since 2016. Is that what Tyler said? Something it's been a while, but Hananiga won the regional, and now they're going to host team sectionals at Hananiga Tuesday after the state tournament, 6 p.m. How was the regional, Marty? And yeah, what was your assessment of the
It was
weekend?
great. You know, the only one of the things the officials did a really good job. I just wish they had a fourth official so they could rotate through, but they had three mats and three officials all day long, which they had them moving great. But it'd been nice to have an extra official just to give those guys some breaks. But yeah, they ran it really well. They had like a big like youth basketball thing too. I forgot how big Huntley is, and they were in another gym, but everything worked out great. And Hananiga looked pretty damn good. You know, they were wrestling tough. You know, kids were staying together. They were a team. Like I said, I watched that Connor Demo, man. He looked, I mean, I just like the way he wrestles on his feet. So, and some of the guys that are regulars looked really good. But like I said, they're 26 pounder and they're 44 pounder, both qualified for sectionals. And those were kids that, you know, at one time you might have said, well, man, they're kind of a hole, but that hole's getting filled in with dirt. You know, they're starting to wrestle.
They
Yeah.
got the Olsen kid back this weekend too, huh?
They did. Yeah. He wrestled good too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And
And
Arlingtonites Hersey's 6 pounder didn't make weight. How about
really,
that? Yeah, and he's a really good 6 pounder. I mean, I'm sure he'll make weight for the duels, but I mean, they would have had 14. They would have had 14 sectional qualifiers. Hersey would have,
Yeah. Wow.
they're that
but
tough, huh?
yeah, well, they look like they're just
Solid.
yeah, solid. You know, and that's who Hananiga is going to wrestle in the sectionals. But yeah, I mean, Hananiga looked really good. You know, you just got to. They're doing the right thing. They're taking everybody down to the state tournament. They're going to work out down there. Going to keep them all together. Those kids that never qualified for state, go down there and see that. Start building a tradition again, and it's going to be good.
That's great. Yeah, and obviously Belvedere was there as well. I think a couple of the
Harlem,
Rockford schools,
yeah,
Harlem.
you know
Harlem,
what? Can I say
Guilford,
something? Can I say
Auburn.
something about the Auburn and Guilford and Jefferson? Their coaches are young people, young guys, and they're working hard and they're doing good things. And I mean, Guilford I think had 10 or 11 kids. Auburn I think had five, but Jefferson had a bunch of kids too, and Jefferson had a kid qualify for
Yeah.
Yeah.
sectionals. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
sitting right in the team thing between Auburn and Jefferson, and the kids were they were very respectful, and the coaches just like you could see they were good. They were good human beings, and that's what you need in the Rockford system to get
When
something
I
going.
was gonna say when Belvedere wrestled Auburn, they wrestled on the same night as East, and just watched how the Auburn kids carried themselves off the mat, on the mat, how they competed, and I
Yeah,
walked up and talked to the coach. I think is it Mitch Williams? I think maybe is the younger coach, and then there was another guy with him. And told him, "Hey, this is the best." You know, they didn't get the results they wanted that night, but their guys competed and looked like they knew what they were doing. You know, so
Well, do you
like
know?
you said, they definitely trending in the right way. Hopefully, they
yeah,
keep it that way.
yeah.
They had
Auburn,
decent. They had decent numbers that night too.
yeah, the Auburn. You know, they look good, and the last time they were good in wrestling was when Jim Paul was their head coach back in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah.
Well, the one of the assistants right now, I didn't know this until last week, but or the week before, Andy Nyer's dad is
Not
helping
just
out.
Andy. There's more Nyers than that.
No, no, but Andy
Eric
Nyer's
Nyer too.
father.
Yeah, but do you know Neil is his name? Neil
No, I
wrestled at
don't.
Wisconsin,
Okay,
University of Wisconsin. You know
Oh,
some stuff.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Well, I just recognized the Nyer because I wrestled Andy.
Oh, did you?
I think,
Oh, that's right,
yeah,
you
I
did.
think my senior year I wrestled him. And I think I might have wrestled in junior year too. Either way, Belvedere also at Huntley had 2 champions, 2 regional champs, and 5 total qualifiers. So yeah, it looked like the 215-pound weight class is all the Nic 10 conference. Belvedere, Hononegah, and Harlem. So that's good. Yeah, it seems like next week at the Barrington region or Barrington sectional, hopefully a few guys get out of there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the other regional, I don't know if you guys paid attention much at the Rochelle Regional for Rockford East, but they made it interesting. If they, if I mean, Rochelle's a little, they're very consistent, so their weight classes all the way up came through. But for a little bit there, I thought East was gonna pull an upset at the regional. Say that again.
I said they were pushing them throughout the whole time. I think at the end, Rochelle started to pull away a little bit, but East gave it a good run, man. Gene's got a nice team there, and they're fairly young.
Did he have a full team?
Yeah.
Cool.
And let me
How about
double
Byron?
check.
Yeah. Cannot wait to win the regional.
Yeah, and I was watching that on track the whole time, and I'm looking at the brackets, and I'm seeing, and I'm texting one of the coaches from Lena Winslow, and I'm like, I said, you guys are gonna pull this off, right? And you know, he's like, yeah, but I don't know, I don't like some of the matchups, and I'm looking at the brackets, I'm like, wait, Lena's not gonna get another point. I was like, they're in trouble if Byron wins out, which they ended up doing. They won by 1 point. So yeah, that was a very interesting thing to watch. I'm glad I was I was actually glad that I was home because I got to kind of watch like it unfold. I just obviously didn't get to experience the chaos when something like that would happen. Marty, have you well, McNames, how many times have you been a part of regionals? We won regionals, right? One time.
Just that one time.
But we won it convincingly.
No, actually,
I don't remember
we won it. Robert Shavira won at 215 and sealed it for us.
Okay.
We had Dugan Winky was in the finals there.
Yep.
Followed by Robert, and Robert won it, and that kind of sealed it. And then we had Chris Lakazi coming in the finals against Hononegah kid. I can't remember who the heavyweight was, but a lot of them were rematches from the week before at the conference.
But it was fairly down to the last.
Yeah, Robert lost at the conference, so we needed Chris to win, and in the heavyweight, and he lost on a penalty point that was awarded to him from an official that sons were attending Hononegah later in life. So I don't like to point fingers, but it was a very questionable penalty point. Let's just go with that. But,
Marty, have you ever do you have any memories of winning a regional that close with 1 point?
I remember the first time we won our first regional back in like '93, and it was like East was a little bit down, and Boylan was actually pretty good that year, and we had a pretty good battle with Boylan going in to win our first regional and the first ever regional in the school's history. And yeah, it was cool. That was back when you won the regional on that Tuesday night, you wrestled the second place per team, and we'd wrestle Boylan, and that's kind of a perfect segue into like Boylan's in 1A, and they scored like 7 points.
That duel.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and then back in Denny Johnson, they had good kids. They had some really good kids. Like there was one time we quoted there was like 3 state qualifiers from Boylan a couple of years ago, or 10 years ago. The Talmadge kids that went, I mean, the Talmadge boy that went there, just incredible.
Good buddy of mine was Boylan kid, Rocco Todaro. And his dad, Ben, coached for a while and was official for a long time. And yeah, they had when I was in high school, they were a strong program. And
well, it's tough, you know. I coached
have changed throughout the years. What's that?
I said it's a different experience when you coach there. Obviously, you're trying to get people from all across the area, and then you know it's different to it's just a different experience if you don't have somebody go in there and recruit kids to come in to, then you know you're not going to have many kids at the developmental stuff. It's not a program. It's just not a they don't have like developmental club type situation. and they never will. I mean, I know that place. I could go into the negatives, but I'm not going to. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was an interesting weekend of regionals and exciting stuff. I thought, um, bringing up that conversation about how you guys used to do the dual meets after the regional. I was talking to Nelson Benish from Rochelle, just talking about how it was fun to watch East get close, but in reality, in a dual meet, if the competition went to a dual meet, they're not even close to Rochelle in a dual meet. But because it's won in a tournament, it made it interesting. And like Lena Winslow, I think probably in a dual meet matches up really well against Byron, but because of the tournament situation, it just changed the whole dynamic. So, and then I was looking at some of these regionals. I was looking at all this, the state regionals, and the regional at Marist where Carl Sandburg, Mount Carmel, and Marist are all in the same regional, and I'm like, wow, right? And something like what you just mentioned, where if whoever wins the top two at the regional have to duel to be the representative. I think that would, I mean, obviously you're adding another competition onto the whole thing. And like in that situation, Marist and Mount Carmel, they already dueled. So do you really have to do it? I don't know. Um, but
Can
yeah,
change
it's
though.
it's crazy. Yeah.
You get different guys in the lineup at the end of the year that you didn't have maybe the first time, and the beauty on the duels is you can move guys around. You can bump, you can, fill in and match up a little bit better. When you go to the regional tournament, man, you got to put this is our best lineup. This is the best guy at the weight class. Let's
Yeah.
go and let it play out. I mean, years ago, God, I don't remember how long ago this was now. Montini was ranked number 1 all year in state, and I think that was during their dynasty in 1A. I think this was before it was when you were in high school, and they didn't win the regional. They got beat by Lyle in the regional. And I think during the season they had beat Lyle pretty convincingly in a duel, but they got to the regional tournament and Lyle just put together a better tournament, you know. So
Yeah.
crazy things happen.
Yeah, it is. So what do you guys think? Do you guys look too far into all the other regional assignments and all the teams that won?
Are you there? Can you hear me, Dalton?
Yeah.
Dan was frozen.
Oh, well, maybe you were
He,
frozen. You're
It's
outside.
you.
he went, I'm great. I thought you were back in the locker room.
Yeah, yeah. But have you guys seen have you been following at all the rest of the state teams and stuff like that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of chatter around just that whole mechanism of the team state and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So,
So,
Well,
so
there
I
always will be until, and even when they do try to fix it, let's say, and they try to separate and they try to seed and this and that, someone's still not going to be happy. I
yeah.
mean,
it's been
it's
that way for 35 years. Everybody bitching about the dual state. It is what it is, right?
But the thing
How many
is,
years did it take them to change the seating for the IHSA
yeah, yeah.
seating? I mean, that used to be just luck of the draw.
Oh,
You
it
could
was.
Yeah.
have
It
the
was
two
brutal.
best guys meet in the first, second round there back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, God, some of
Well,
those semi matches were the state finals.
yeah. And I mean, you guys are right. Obviously, everything, in order for something to change, it really takes, I mean, it would take time and really energy. But I love the fact that the Abe's Rumble exists because, like, I don't feel like there's any other better way to do a team state event. I mean, they have 50 single A teams that show up
Mm-hmm.
and they do a pool and then they bracket it and then they wrestle it and it's 2 days and it's like I really feel like that was the single A state tournament for duels. Like everybody was there.
Oh yeah.
They got all the matches figured out. They did the pool, they matched them up and it ended up, a competitive finals match, right? So I just wish that they would do that earlier in the season for 2A and 3A. Obviously, there's tournaments that go on with the Flavin, but the Flavin is a national team event, really. I mean, other states come in and stuff like that, but um, I like that. I don't know if you guys have followed that, but I went to it this year and honestly, I thought like, why don't why isn't this just the way that the team state event happens?
I kind of talked to you about that. They have it in place. You got the
Yeah,
A's, you make the flab in the 3A, and you just need someone to run the 2A one.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because it
they,
would be really cool to see everybody, because everybody would still get an opportunity to be there and compete,
yeah. And if you don't want to do it, you don't do it.
Yeah. And in this case, like I said, 50 teams. So if you can get 50 teams to participate, you're going to find out who the best team is, right? And you're going to get a lot of people represented. You're going to check all the boxes that people are trying to check, to give you know, uh whatever spect you're going to get views on your programs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I like that. But regardless, this weekend is sectionals. You guys gonna go to any of the sectional events?
I'm going to watch Division III wrestling in Iowa.
Okay.
Watch
Oh yeah,
Loris,
you're saying Loris, right?
Loris and Wartburg. Yeah, and Wartburg's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Always. I'm gonna
And
try to
then
get over on Saturday to Barrington.
and then Sunday I'm going up to watch Wisconsin and Illinois wrestle
Oof.
before the Super Bowl. I know it could be a good duel though.
You
Maybe.
think?
I don't know.
Well, I just found out that I think that Cannon Webster is gonna redshirt.
I was
Well,
wondering.
obviously, yeah. They didn't pick and choose very good.
What do you mean?
You get five matches. You can pick
Yeah.
and choose anytime. If you
Yeah.
notice, there's some guys from Iowa that haven't really wrestled much, and I think they thought coming up that they would use them, but now that they found out what they're really like last Friday, they might just want to put them in the room and let them wrestle.
Well,
Well,
we're gonna start talking college. If
yeah.
man, if Iowa shows up like that again at Penn State, whoo, that could be a record beating for them. I mean,
Well, last Friday night was 20 years it's been since they've been beat like that.
that
20
was
years.
that was not good. No bueno.
Yeah, so we're talking about anybody who's living under a rock, Iowa versus Michigan. And I don't even know Marty, do you know what the ending score was?
A lot.
A lot, yeah. So
I think it was 24 to
7?
24 to 6 or 24 to 9.
Yeah.
What they went 2
It was
matches?
it was so bad that Marty showed up today in his Illini gear.
Yep. Just so you know, I want to give you guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a diehard Iowa guy. But Sunday afternoon, during the duel against Oklahoma State and Missouri, my wife ordered me an Oklahoma State sweatshirt.
Wow.
There
Did you
you
guys
go.
watch that? Did you guys watch
Oh,
that
yeah.
duel at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
I-
my God.
that
It's
was a great deal.
it was great. Talk about moving people around, moving fix up 41.
So here's the thing I look at. Looking at both those duels, I think the Michigan Iowa was very similar because I think Iowa, on paper there's the toss up, but a lot of people gave Iowa the edge in the matches against Michigan, right? Same as
Yeah.
Missouri and Oklahoma State. But man, Michigan showed up. Oklahoma State definitely showed up. If you watched that Iowa, if you looked at their bench, like they were half the guys weren't even out there watching.
See, but I don't know if all of a sudden one of the brands took them somewhere and were just ripping on them. But it was very weird. What?
Well,
Were they running home?
no,
I don't know.
think
Go start running. I mean, it was.
listen, not to make excuses, but I think they, we just talked about this to start off. I got sick a little bit last week, felt like crap the whole week. Your wife is sick, so it's like I think that they got a bug, and a few
You
of the
think or you
guys.
know?
Well, I don't know. I didn't reach out. I could have reached out, but I didn't find any. I think from what I heard, a couple press conferences prior, Brands was talking about a couple guys. But again, you have to deal with that. But
Yeah, it's life.
the conversation I've had with multiple people is like it looked bad, but if you think that I was not going to show up in a month from now, you're crazy. They're extremely talented. I know those guys. Real Woods is not going to get beat like that in front of people twice.
Isn't
I
it,
can
isn't that
promise you.
isn't the kid that beat him from Montini?
No, he's
Mount
from Mount
Carmel.
Carmel.
From
Okay.
Indiana, though.
But he probably was in 7th grade, right? The Real Woods one, right?
Yeah, maybe he's young. He's
Right?
definitely young. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looked like he's 12 years old in the duel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sergio, I mean, he in high school he was one of the most fundamentally sound wrestlers in the country. Like the way that he wrestled in high school, you knew that he was going to have success at the Big Ten and the NCAA level because he wrestled like you're supposed to when he was 16 years old. So he's a very worthy competitor. But like I said, I mean, I bet my house if I had one that Real Woods doesn't get whooped like that twice.
He might get beat twice, though.
He could get beat twice, but he's not going to whoop like that. That was something where you could definitely tell he didn't want to be there, and he normally rises to the occasion pretty well. So
It didn't look like many of them really wanted to be there.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been
How
a long
about getting
time.
shut? How about getting shut out at halftime?
Yeah.
Here's the question I have, and this is like baffles me, like how tough the Big Ten is in wrestling, right? I mean, the top is the top, the bottom is the bottom, but it, I get, I don't know, I get in awe when you see another Big Ten team shut out a Big Ten team. Like, how do you not win one match?
Well, the Big Ten's not very good this year.
But yeah, so when you go like Northwestern,
Yeah,
a match against Minnesota.
but they all took a mass exodus too, though.
Yeah,
They all
but
left, and I don't know if that's that they. I mean, all the guys at Michigan. I think maybe they say at Northwestern after 5 years, you've got your degree, you're done. You can move on. Right?
right.
Well, I think it's harder to get into grad programs.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Let's get away from the guys who left.
Yeah. What about the guys there?
Got shut out, and Minnesota's not the top, right?
No.
Like,
Yeah. But Minnesota's not bad. They're definitely in a good spot.
How does that happen? I can't wrap my head around that one.
How about that Jack Jensen? He's
He
wrestling
looks
heavyweight. He's a 74-pounder.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, let's get away from Northwestern because I don't think that they're, I just don't think that they're going to be the same that they were, when Jake Herbert and those guys were there. I just think that some of these programs are like evolving to, again, I think their focuses are just different than they were during those periods of time.
Last couple of years until their guys all left.
Yeah.
How about Rutgers?
Yeah. I think, isn't Rutgers pretty good?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they wrestle Iowa this year. They could beat Iowa. I kind of looked at because they wrestled Penn State last weekend, and I looked at the box scores, and I'm going, oh man.
Well, Ohio State wrestled Penn State pretty tough.
Yeah, and I think of the freshmen they have,
and they're young. I mean, I don't know.
You forget back in the wrestling room at Penn State, there's 10 other guys sitting there waiting.
What's that?
I said at Penn State, there's about 10 other guys waiting to go right in the lineup. And they'll all be All-Americans.
Yeah. And there's a transfer portal that was, come here.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Well, McNames, what do you think about the Ohio State guys? You watched that duel?
Yeah. They're scrappy, man. They're young and they're not afraid to mix it up. And really, I don't know what the final score was, but I look back, I think Ohio State got hosed at 125. That's the match they could have won. They won at 33. 41 was another one that I didn't agree with the takedown, but I don't have to. I'm just a spectator. But, Ohio State could have taken the first 3 matches there, which kind of changes the dynamic of things. But, you still run into, Penn State's murderer's row. But
they did pretty good. Sirachi only had
that was a great match.
A decision. Yeah. He won by decision.
I mean, Ohio State guys, they're not afraid to scrap.
Yeah.
you know, and they're young. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I watched Ohio State wrestle Wisconsin, and yeah, they didn't have anything that stood out. I really like that Bazakis wrestler. You know, I watched him. I know his he's a couple bro I think he has a brother, one brother. Um, but the way he wrestles, I really like. Just it looks like the third period he struggles a little bit keeping the pace
yeah,
through the whole match and stuff. But he's pretty scrappy. He can get takedowns on the best guys. He just has to wrestle 7 minutes or
yeah.
whatever. Um, but yeah, it will be interesting to see. Now switching to the Oklahoma State, going back to Oklahoma State, Mizzou. So Oklahoma State, are they back? Are they getting a trophy this year?
They very well. You know, that's the thing. They're a pretty
It's
good dual meet team,
dual, but
but
tournament.
to get a trophy, I don't know.
Yeah, the dual. They are wrestling about as good as you can as a dual team. You know, they bumped Fix up yesterday, which I thought was awesome because you don't see that a lot.
No, you don't.
And I mean, he looks like he could be a 41 pounder.
No, he looks like a midget. He looks like he's gonna make the what is that?
57
25,
kilos,
whatever the
120,
kilo. Yeah, yeah, he's gonna make that easy.
120. Yeah.
125, 125 and a half.
Well,
Well, he's good.
I look at him, I say, how the hell does he make that? You know, because he is pretty solid. But
Yeah,
they,
he looks thick.
and I mean, they had some guys that had
Anybody
great
there?
matches yesterday. Yeah, I think it's you.
Just keep
Dalton, you're
going,
freezing.
Whitley.
Yeah,
You're freezing.
Marty's outside in the
you're
cold and he's
outside in the
freezing now.
cold. It's probably getting a little bit
I'm
below
perfect.
30.
It's not even cold out. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
But
you
yeah,
know
I don't
what,
know if
Missouri?
Oklahoma State has the. I still see Missouri beating them in the Big 12 tourney.
Yeah,
I
I
just
do
don't see
too.
Oklahoma State. I don't know if their guys all show up. Yeah, they have a chance to get a trophy, but I don't see them taking a trophy instead of Missouri. But
I see him beating Iowa in a couple weeks, though.
that's going to be
Yeah.
an interesting duel.
Isn't it though? Down in Stillwater too, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be good. But what with the Big 12 now, how it's expanded, do you think that that changes how, it used to be a tournament basically with three or four teams. Now it's kind of expanded. So it does, it does allow for, a different type of team to emerge as winners, just, as the victors, just because the brackets are a little bit more, filled and there's more depth in the bracket.
Yeah.
So.
well, it's a tournament with one team, and then somebody else is fighting for the other three trophies.
Is that what you're saying? You're saying
Oh
Missouri
yeah,
walks away with it.
no. Are you talking the Big 12 or the NCAA tournament?
Big 12.
Big 12.
Oh yeah, no, Missouri's going to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But
they just
Iowa State is really there. I mean, there's going to be
uh,
a lot of guys that could get beat by,
yeah.
a couple different teams, right? I think is Oregon State now in the Big 12?
I bet they are. I think
And
I know they are.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
So we have the
No,
Pac-12.
no, that's Pac-12. They still have a Pac-12, I think.
No, they got rid of it.
Did
Did
they?
they?
Yeah.
So they absorbed those
Sure.
guys in?
You got
That would
remember
make
you
sense
got
why.
Arizona State, Stanford, Oregon State. I think they're all still in the
No.
Pac-12.
No. Where have you been, Marty? The Pac-12 is like dead. It's not even existing anymore.
That was there
Look
last
at
year.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Big 12
They got Cal
conference.
State They got Cal State Bakersfield. They
Yeah.
got Cal Poly.
Big 12 conference adds Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah.
Right, but go to wrestling Big 12 or Pac-12 because you got Cal Poly.
Right here.
You
Let me
got
read
Cal
them all.
Bakersfield.
Yeah, but okay, so maybe it's not this year, but they're definitely
Okay, wait. What'd you just say? Maybe there still is one.
Well, I know, there's a couple year transition, right? So
Right.
they signed on to, UCLA,
But this
all
year,
the
there's still a Pac-12 tournament.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is. But I'm pretty sure Arizona State is moving.
Not this year.
But not this year.
No,
Same with Oregon
that's not.
State, Cal
Yeah.
Poly,
Where's
Bakersfield.
South
Stanford.
Dakota State? Are they in the Big 12?
Yes, I think South Dakota State and North Dakota State are.
Wyoming?
Yes.
Well, we're just speculating now, but I know that there's a lot of changes and stuff. So maybe this year is not the the same with the Big 12, but
Because
I definitely
basically
know some people are coming
the
up.
big whatever you want to call Oklahoma State, that the MAC is part of that too now, isn't it?
No, the MAC is expanded too, but
Missouri got
it's
out of
yeah,
back
Yeah,
to
that
Big
yes.
12.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Missouri's won like some crazy number of conference titles in a row. They won the last Big 12 they were in, went to the MAC, and I think won it for every year, and then came back and they won the Big 12, I think, last year. Or every year they've been back in the Big 12.
It'll be a good tournament.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty
Well, and obviously
sellable.
I think that's next year. So 2024 is when Arizona State, and Colorado, and Utah join. So
it's just Arizona State that has wrestling. Because
yeah,
Stanford's going out east, right? And they go to like the Big East
yeah,
or whatever, ACC or something, which
yeah. Like I
makes
said,
no
it's gonna
sense.
get maybe this year. I mean, again, I hope that it doesn't turn bad for wrestling because I don't know if you guys saw that the Big 12 and the big or the sorry the SEC and the Big 10 both hired basically a commissioner, or they're putting together a board of trustees to kind of oversee. There's a couple lawsuits with the NCAA. I don't know how wrestling I don't know what happens with wrestling if the football programs just decide to get rid of the NCAA, because that's a lot of revenue that the Olympic sports depend on for facilities, for travel, all that stuff, for coaching expenses and stuff. Wrestling will 100% switch overnight entirely to fundraising as 100% of their budgetary requirements, right? Like it could get interesting if
It'd be,
football.
would not be good.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I was, the Big 12 or the Big 10 and a couple of the Big 12 teams, they have, you know, some things in place. We were watching Iowa, Michigan, and the crowd was not filled, right? And that was something that people were also discussing on the internet. And,
Not even close.
Mm-mm.
the conversation was that a lot of people were having their conference tournaments and stuff like that. It's like,
Not
I was listening to the Pat McAfee show, and they're talking about college football. And they were saying, specifically, they were talking about our product on Saturday is the best it's ever been. And it's like with wrestling, our product, what day is it on? Right. And then from there, everybody can kind of like focus on that thing, right? To drive revenue through it so that, people, engage with it. So then, things. But if you don't have fans show up, I mean, that's the reason why Iowa's gonna and Penn State have such an advantage, because they fill their stadiums every single time they compete. So I'm just curious what you guys thought about all that stuff. I don't know if you pay attention to that stuff, but
well, Penn State fills it up because they don't wrestle in their main coliseum like Iowa does.
yeah, they still
Right?
get
Rec
how many?
hall,
Yeah,
right?
how many people in Rec Hall though? I mean, they still fill it
What
up.
probably what 5,000?
They're still packing it.
8,000.
Where
Hold
did
on.
Michigan wrestle at? Like,
And they're
6,500.
in the
6,500.
Chrysler
So
Center or whatever the hell it's
yeah.
called.
So
which is
Marty,
a pretty big place.
yeah, the Chrysler Center is pretty big.
I
But
mean,
they didn't even fill the
but
bottom
the lower bowl was like
kind of
empty. Yeah.
3/4 or
Maybe
whatever.
the security was tough and not letting people move down,
Right.
There,
Yeah.
I don't know.
no, it
But
just wasn't
All
filled.
the amines were running security.
Yeah. Well, again,
I think
we
everyone
talked
got-
about this. Is it a bad thing that the Big Ten Network makes it so easy for people not to go?
It's a great thing.
I know I'm being somewhat
Facetious.
facetious, right? Like
Facetious.
Hey,
it's
I
like
loved
yeah.
Missouri's setup. How they cut the mat. It's like,
Yes,
and they got you circled around it. Like that is, I
it was
mean, that's
awesome.
not a great setting to walk out to. I mean, that was pretty sweet.
Virginia Tech does the same thing. They got a cool mat. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's like an octagon, somewhat.
yeah,
Really. I
yeah.
don't
That
know
was
if I've
a
ever
good setup.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. They do it almost in a corner. Well, it looks like a corner, but I think that stadium is just that size. It must be like a volleyball center. Kind of like the Devaney Center in Nebraska. It's a volleyball center, so it's like on top, but it's
Yeah,
closer to the
that was a
action.
good place to see the Big Tens.
Yeah. No, that's their stadium is not
Until we drank them
it's
out of
more on
beer.
top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that happens.
Yeah, it does. When the Iowans come in.
Yeah. Well, what's next on the docket for college wrestling and yeah, what's the you're
Well,
going to you're going to Wartburg versus Loris.
Loris. Yep, going to Dubuque.
Is Loris any good this year?
They're all right, but Wartburg's between them and Augsburg, they're ranked 1 and 2 in the country, and it's a great environment where they wrestle and at Loris, and it's just it's awesome. Division 3 wrestling and Division 3 sports and anything is awesome because half those 90% of those kids are there because they want to go to school and they want to play sports. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's no different than other sports.
Yeah.
Every other people want to go play sports too
Yeah.
at the all levels. But yeah, well, anything else, I'll let you guys go.
Yeah, right. We'll see how. Hopefully, the sectionals go well this week for all the Nick 10 kids and all the local wrestlers here in Northern Illinois.
Yeah, get a bunch of kids downstate.
Yeah,
that'd be
it'll be awesome.
Yeah, and then we'll be there. So Marty, I'll see you there. McName's,
got it.
you gonna make it there?
State?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll be down there. I plan
Okay.
it.